It is time once again for an episode of Lunch Therapy. I want to talk at the beginning before we dive into lunch therapy because there is something I wanted to express before we go into the no COVID talk zone. Because as you know, probably lunch therapy is a place where we try and avoid all the news and all the horrible things that are going on. But I just have to say this. I got a message from one of our listeners, Mr. Todd Haas, who has been featured on the show before. And he said that face dancing is actually being used to help people survive from the COVID virus. They don't call it face dancing. They call it proning. Thanks, Pam. They call it proning. And proning is essentially lying face down on the bed for long periods of time. I can show you the article where I got it. Yahoo Life. How a free, extremely low-risk ER procedure is saving lives from coronavirus. So they lie face down for long periods of time, and it allows them to get more oxygen in their lungs. So there you have it. There are medicinal purposes for face dancing, something that we have long suspected. All right, let's roll right into this. We are here for lunch therapy. It's Lunch Therapy 40. And welcome to everybody in the chat room. And let's get this thing rolling. I'm gonna get myself a modem. 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 All right, kids, we went with a little bit different intro today. A song that I put together called I'm Gonna Get Myself a Modem, which is obviously the immortal words of John Gould back in 1983 or something, where he stood up in class and expressed his love for modems by saying, I'm going to get myself a modem. And we all laughed at him at the time. But little did we know, John Gould was incredibly prescient. The modem would be bringing us all together. I'm going to get myself a modem. Yep. And of course, Kamala points out the other lyric, which is hard to decipher, but it is, "Hey, guy fly, how's your eye?" Which, if there are any listeners from the Sherwood Forest out there, they would know this reference. Tracy Thompson, that was one of his catchphrases growing up. Hey, hi, guy fly, how's your eye, is what he would say. But this is a much more jubilant song, so it's, hey, guy fly, how's your eye? Pam pointed out my shirt. Yeah, I have this great shirt today. It's from Tacoma, Washington, of course. Tacoma, Washington, one of my favorite places. I've only been there twice, but I feel like I'm from there. It's awesome, awesome place. I wanted to bring up one other thing. Hey, guy fly, how's your eye? You guys can go ahead and use that catchphrase. I don't think Tracy Thompson's going to mind. But there was another thing that we used to say when we were young, and that was, hoy. So I wanted to institute the greeting, hoy, on the show. And that is going to help us move right into what we do at the top of the show, which is to take in 3 deep breaths. So join me now. First, just kind of try and be in the moment here. Feel your feet on the floor. Feel your feet in the bed. Feel your feet in the hoy. There's Todd Haas saying hoy. Hoy, I'll tell you the origins of that later. Some don't know. Some use it all the time. They have no idea. Of course, I'm taking credit for it. Once again. Here we go. So we're going to take in a deep breath. 1, 2, 3. hold it, and let it out. Going to take in another deep breath. We're going to hold it. We're going to let it out on a high. High. Let it out. Let it out. Pam's afraid to say it until she knows the origins. It's perfectly safe to say. Later on in life, let's take the one more breath. Take in the breath. Hold it. And let it out. Now, hoy is just a greeting. It's just a general greeting. Kind of a fun way to say it. Because, sometimes you say hi from a long distance. Hi! And it just doesn't have the same gravitas as hoy. Hoy! And you can even make a face if you want. Hoy! And there's a weird kind of way to say it. So, my recollection of how hoy started was Scott Amy and I, again, I'm always taking credit alongside of Scott Amy. We were in the band. And we had these ridiculous, those ridiculous band uniforms that you wear where you have a huge plume and a tall hat and you look like you're in the military or something. So we had those with the big plume. We were in the marching band. I was playing the mellophone. Scott was playing the alto sax, I believe. And we had these white gloves on, and we just felt so ridiculous that Scott took the glove and went, hoy, and put the glove on his face. And then I, looked at the glove and looked into it like there was someone there and said, hoy. And then I put the glove on my face. And we started laughing so hard in our band uniforms. There's Jonathan Sposato, also a user of the holy. And so we, but that continued from then on out. We always said it. It was always our greeting in high school. Still to this day, I see friends of mine I haven't seen in a long time, and they say holy. So I invite the world, the listeners out there, the lunch therapy people, the myth clubbers. That's what I'm calling watchers of lunch therapy, myth club. They're part of the myth club. Hoy is the general myth club greeting. And Eddie Mitchell is here, and he's saying, what is up with that shirt? LOL. And it basically, there's an octopus. There's the Tacoma Bridge. I want to say Tacoma Narrows Bridge, but I might be wrong about that. And then, there's Mount Rainier at the top. And it was done by an artist in Tacoma. And it does say Tacoma. The bridge says Tacoma, but it's probably backwards or some weird thing. But the fact that it's all lit up, I see, in Zoom and all these things these days, they have the backgrounds that people are using. And, it's getting kind of old, I guess. So I try and wear shirts that pick up on backgrounds or pick up on video backgrounds just to kind of give it looks like it'd be cool if we had shirts like this. Someday we will. Jonathan has coined a phrase, Uoth, user of the holy. I think it's good. A Uoth. I think that's how you pronounce it. Todd Lee's in the club. Yes, the Myth Club is opened up. It is opened up. It was always open. It was always really open. I think some people just didn't know because it is an anti-click. It is an anti-club. It is an anti-club. Everyone can be a member. They just have to say, holy. So Todd's in the club. We're all here. This is good. Blister on your trigger finger. I got blisters on my fingers. I got something that I got to tell you guys that Todd Lee gave me, speaking of Todd Lee, and I have to play it on the show. But I got to admit, it's kind of freaking me out. It's freaking me out a little bit. And this is a place of calm and peace. But we're going to get through this. We're going to get through this because it's just something you have to see because I don't know if it's true. And I would like to say this show is sponsored by, but I don't know. Let's just watch it. Let's just get in there. Let's get in there. Kamala wants me to play that song again from the beginning. Maybe at the end of the show, I will play it from the beginning so we can experience that. But there'll be more shows, and more shows based, I think, on catchphrases from Lunch Therapy. But now we're going to dive into our sponsor, not really our sponsor, Shiny Heiny.
There's nothing better than feeling clean and confident. But are you really as clean as you should be? Not unless you've taken care of a very personal area that requires special attention. Stop resorting to one of these options. Now there's a solution. It's My Shiny Heiny, a specialty cleansing brush with an ergonomically designed handle to easily access that difficult-to-reach spot. My Shiny Heiny comes in 6 colors and includes a suction cup shower holder, so it's always right where you need it. The formed bristle brush is specially designed to reach every fold and wrinkle. Plus, there's a soft silicone brush for fingertip control. Literally. My Shiny Heiny is especially handy if you have a limited range of motion due to age, injury, or stiffness. Good hygiene is the first defense against infections and disease. My Shiny Heiny puts unparalleled cleaning power right in your hand. Order My Shiny Heiny now for just $19.99 and experience the joy of feeling truly clean. And there's more. My Shiny Heiny Cleansing Cream, available in 3 fragrances, removes odors and impurities to leave you feeling fresh and smelling great all day long. And for a brighter complexion, there's My Shiny Heiny Lightening Cream. The unique container dispenses the perfect dose of this gentle lightener, which quickly fades dark skin for a more even tone. All ingredients in our products meet or exceed cosmetic quality standards and are made in the USA. Order now and get My Shiny Heiny in your choice of color and texture, plus 2 extra brush heads, the fingertip brush, and shower holder, all for just $19.99.
Oh, I don't know, Todd. You know, that's the thing. There are a few things that we just have to, I guess, unpack, as they say. We need to unpack this a little bit. And I don't know. Maybe we can play it a little bit. No, I can't go back there. So my question is this. First of all, why is she wearing so much makeup in the shower? What's up with that? Is that something that women do, that they wear makeup in the shower? I don't know. Maybe you guys can tell me about that, because that seems a little weird. Second of all, what is the deal? So they said, you can use one of these items, and it shows 4 items. And one of the items is a man's hand. I got to go back to this for a second. I'll turn it down, the volume down a little bit.
There's nothing better than feeling.
So yeah, one of them is a man's hand. So here she is. She's got all that makeup on, right? And then there's the guy. That's a man's hand, right?
It's My Shiny Heiny.
And My Shiny Heiny
brush with an ergonomically designed handle to easily access that difficult to reach spot.
Wait a minute. Who is it difficult to reach for is what I'd like to know. I mean, I remember they used to say bodybuilders had a hard time getting back there, but I don't think it's a difficult to reach spot.
My Shiny Heiny comes in 6 colors.
Why does it come in 6 colors? Who needs 6 colors? I guess you mean different colors because different people use them, and they'll be hanging in the shower. And she says fingertip control, literally. As if there's not literal fingertip control. I don't know. No makeup in the shower. It would run off, obviously. Yeah, you can't take makeup in the shower. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I mean, yeah, maybe I'm being weird, but maybe I feel like. And then Kamala made a very good point. Why is this guy handing this to her? What kind of conversation do they have before this? And she's like, oh, is this a toothbrush? Or what is this? Why are you handing this to me? Are there different colors? Do they come in different colors? And then we get to this. Scented cleansing cream? Removes odors and impurities. This is where it gets really, really gnarly. Really gnarly. And then this.
The unique container dispenses the perfect dose.
Who needs lightning cream for the?
Quickly fades dark skin for a more even tone. All ingredients in our products meet or exceed cosmetic quality standards and are made in the USA. Order now and get My Shiny Heiny in your choice of color and texture. Plus,
all right, order now. Mulva says that was a loofah. I mean, who jams a loofah up their ass? I don't know. Maybe people do. Yeah, maybe that's what it's for. It's for porn stars, and they're the ones who have to lighten. I don't know. This is getting... The guy is handing it to her as a bonus gift when you open a bank account. That's what it is, I think. I think it's a free gift at the bank account. You're right, Jonathan. I think you're totally right. Lightning, that's what all the kids are doing. Lightning in a bottle. Who needs a bright... Exactly. This is not this kind of show. This is not what this show's about, but I had to make sure that I got this in here because it is so baffling to me and so odd that I feel like I need a palate cleanser. I need to prancercise. I don't know how I missed this. This has been around for 7 years at least. But I'd like it if you guys would join me in a little bit of prancercise. Here we go.
Hello, I'm Joanna Rohrbeck of Prancercise LLC, and I'm here today to show you the 4 modes of prancercise.
4 modes.
I've got my ankle weights in place.
Ankle weights. I don't have ankle weights
ready.
Today.
So let's stop talking and do some walking.
Stop talking and start chalking. This is awesome. And this part I love so much. I mean, I edited this down because I wanted you guys to see Victor and how they integrate with the horses. Oh, I put the disclaimer. Guys, the camel toe stuff. I researched a little bit of this, and people did definitely say something about her camel toe, and I just have to say that she said, "I'm cool with it." She wanted that look, and it's a good look, and I like the music that she uses. I like everything about it. It feels good. It's fun. I feel so much better. I would much rather prancercise than shiny hiney. I'll tell you that. Although we did get a bidet. I don't know if you guys have ever tried a bidet. Like, when you go to France or something, and then all of a sudden there's like a weird toilet, and you're like, what does this do? It's way too much ass talk today. But anyway, we got one, and you know what? I was like, this is horrible. This is a disgusting, disgusting thing. Much like my shiny hiney, but I love it. Yeah, and other people are saying how much they love these things, and it's good to be clean, I guess. I mean, I don't have to be bleached. All right, let's get on with it. Okay, I promised you guys that I would continue with the story from last week, and I also told Mr. Ben Gervich in Australia, member of the Myth Club in Australia, chapter in Australia, that I would do a previously on lunch therapy. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is previously on lunch therapy. He said, I love Snickers bars because it's like a really concentrated, really good food. I went to Alaska a long time ago, and how did I end up in Alaska? I wondered. In Seattle, that is a very common thing. Some of the kids would go up to Alaska and work. I don't know, Tom Jackson, Ken Ingblom would work during the summer, and then they'd come back with massive amounts of cash. I mean, that kind of scared me, going away from my mommy. I'm concerned. I was in the theater department when I was in college, and I didn't tell people I was in a fraternity. Dorms, because of the dorms, it had it was like a cement room with like a drain in the middle. I think he and I traded hairstyles or something. So they decided, hey, we're going to get together. We're going to shake hands. I'm going to put my hand on your shoulder, and we're going to start something called Sigma Nu, and it's based on there will be no hazing. They didn't like getting beaten up. I don't know what they were doing in a military institute, graham cracker or something like that. But those were the tenets of the cult, and these were the cult leaders. How did I get into Alaska? So I stayed at this fraternity, but then in the summers I would go home. I'd go back home because I just want to live with my parents. And then one summer, I guess it was my sophomore year, I decided that I was going to go somewhere and get some experience. And I was going to go to Germany. I was going to live with a German family for the whole summer, and I was going to learn German. I was going to teach them English. The last minute, I bailed. I was scared. I just want to live with my parents. Working at a car lot on Federal Way is not a great way to spend the summer. So that summer, I spent seafaring in a van down by the river. You want to go to Alaska next year? Doug O'Donnell. He says, hey, you want to go to Alaska next year? And I was like, and again, I got cold feet. I was like, yeah. And then I didn't apply for the job. I didn't apply at all. He's like, did you get a job? Because I just got a phone call and I got a job and I'm going to Alaska. I was like, I'm here for my job. I'm supposed to have a job working in Alaska. I was going to go to Alaska. But something happened that just about stopped the whole thing. Yeah. Something happened that just about stopped the whole thing, and I'll tell you. And I got to tell you, so I'm in this fraternity, right? And Gordy Wall and Doug O'Donnell, they live in the same room, like they're roommates. Very volatile relationship, however. They were like an old married couple sometimes, the way they'd bicker. And one time, so there, I'm in there, and it's the end of the year, and I turned in all my papers, and I took all my tests, and it's the end of our junior year, and Gordy and Doug are there, and Brian Keaton's there, and we're all like, let's drink a bunch of animal beer, because that's what we did to express our joy. We would drink Schmidt beer. Many of you know it. They had animals on the can. We would drink a lot of it because we were in college. And so we were like about to do that. But Doug O'Donnell was over there still typing away to finish his paper. And he just had a little bit more to go. And he said, you know what? Before we, can just totally relax, I have to turn in my paper. So we were like, okay, we have to go down to the campus and turn in a paper. And he was like, yeah, we got to go down there. And so he finished his paper, 2-finger typing, and we all got ready to go down to turn in his paper, and it was at this place called Denny Hall, which is a very, very large building on campus that had a clock tower in it. Yeah, it had a clock tower, and it was a big, ominous building. I'm going to show you a picture here. Look at that place. That's Denny Hall. Yeah. And so it had a clock tower in it, and that clock would ring a bell at noon every day. Bong, 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 bong. And we always thought, that'd be really funny if that bong then all of a sudden started playing like Hell's Bells by AC/DC, right? I mean, that would be great. Wouldn't it be neat? And we found out there's not even a bell in there. It's just a tape, just playing bong, bong, bong every day at noon, or on the hour maybe. Yeah, it would bong on the hour. Yeah. We always thought that would be neat. But now we were going down there to turn in a paper. So we went down to campus, and we go to the building. The building's always open. It's always open. And this day, it was locked. And we were like, we have to turn in this paper. Doug has to turn in this paper. Well, how's he going to do it? He has to give it to his TA. What are we going to do? And we started getting kind of panicked because there was a lot of animal beer waiting for us back at the house, but we had to accomplish this task before we could do this. And all of a sudden, Brian Keaton notices there's a window, like on the second story, that we could climb into. Somebody could climb into if they could get up there. So we stacked each other on our shoulders like the Musicians of Bremen style. I don't know if you guys have seen Musicians of Bremen, but anyway, you know that old story where the ass has the dog on top of him, and then the cat, and then there's a rooster. Here comes the rooster at the top. Well, Doug was like the rooster at the top, And he climbed in the window, and he came down to the first floor to where his TA's office was, and he shoved the paper under the door. And, I forgot to mention, Doug, before we left, decided to put on a huge purple afro and as many scarves and necklaces as he could put around his neck. And for some reason, he had a lot of scarves and a lot of necklaces, right? And so he looked ridiculous. The rest of us looked kind of normal. He looked ridiculous. So he comes and he opens up the door, and I guess, we're going to leave. But instead of leaving, everybody rushes in. We all rush in there, and we're running around. It's kind of like when somebody says, you can't go in here, you have to go in there, especially if you're a college kid. So we went in there, we're running around in there like it's the greatest place in the world. And it's just a big building, And there doesn't seem to be anybody there, and we're running around, and we're like, Gordy says, hey, let's go find the clock tower so we can, figure out where we can put the tape. We didn't have the tape, but, we could someday put a tape there if we know where it is. So I was like, great idea. And so we're running around, and all of a sudden, Gordy taps me on the shoulder, and he goes, here. And he gave me half of a Snickers bar. He had a Snickers bar in one hand and half in another. And he gave it to me. And I was like, where'd you get that? And I ate it. And then we went running around. And then all of a sudden, the elevator doors opened, and all these campus police came out. And Doug and I just stood there. We just stood there. And they grabbed us, and we were busted big time. And Gordy and Brian went running off, which didn't help them because they said, who were those guys? And I was like, oh, that was Gordy Wall and Brian Keaton. Yeah, I just said it. I know. I'm not always the hero of the story, as I have said very clearly. I just was like, well, what was I going to do? Make up names? I remember one time some parents came into our room, in Gordy and Doug's room. Some parent came in, and at that moment, I was just swearing up a storm. And the parent came in, and he said, what's your name? Hi, what's your name? And I said, my name was Gordy Wall. So I am capable. I'm capable. I could have made up some names, but I didn't in that moment. I was so scared. I just gave up all my friends. So we got in some deep, deep trouble. And my dad was a professor at the University of Washington. So I had an extra kind of thing on the line. And it turns out that we were busted big time. And then we were going to have to, because they were campus police, we were going to have to go to the vice president of the school. And we were going to tell our story, and they were going to tell us whether we got to stay in school or not. We were going to get kicked out. And not only that, but they made the appointment for after our plane leaves for Alaska. And we just wouldn't even be able to go. I remember that day, that next day, I went home to my parents because I want to say hi, Nogi Asp, Woodway High School swim team member, Myth Club member. I want to say I was petrified, and I just want to live with my parents. And I was awake all night. I was staying with my parents. I was awake all night. Next day I get up in the morning and I'm just all pale. And my mom, I don't know, moms have a sixth sense, right? She looks at me and she goes, what happened? And I'm freaking out. I'm like, so rather than just make something up, I told her, look, yeah, my father's legacy haunted me in Top Gun. I was going to get my dad fired. That's what it felt like. I felt like I was going to get my dad fired or something. So I was definitely going to be kicked out of school in my junior year. So I told her, I just told her the whole thing. And it didn't help. In fact, she was worried too. She was just worried. So I got together with Doug and Gordy and Brian, and we had to sit and figure this out because I was like, you know what? They're going to bring us in individually to talk to the vice president. And my biggest concern is not that we broke in the building trying to hand in a paper, not that we were trying to look for the bell tower so we could change the tape to AC/DC, but the thing that was really worrying me was the Snickers bar. Because that Snickers bar was on a desk in a conference room where some, I don't know, TA or teacher or somebody was studying, and it was sitting there. And for some reason, Gordy, because Gordy's funny that way, I think he picked it up and was like, here. And I ate it. So that was theft, right? That was theft. And then we found out that they had arrested us because a couple of days before, some kids had broken in there and stolen all the computers. So they thought that was us. So we were like, we had some serious, and we could go to jail or something. So we were like, what are we going to say about the Snickers bar? Do we say it? Do we tell them about it? Or do we just say, what if they ask us about it individually? There was a Snickers bar there and it's gone, and we found the wrapper. We opted to not mention the Snickers bar. And somehow we got the date changed so that it was not after the plane leaves for Alaska. Yeah, right? I could have gone to the big house. I could have gone, lying, and stealing, theft, and breaking and entering. That could be ugly. That could be really ugly. And we'd never get to go to Alaska, which secretly I kind of was hoping. Because I was scared, because I just want to live with my parents. Even if I have to live in a van down by the river. So finally, I go in that one day. I go in to talk to the vice president of the thing. And I go in that room. And I'm petrified. I almost got kicked out of school one other time. But this was serious. And I waited in the waiting room. And it was this really drab, like, olive-covered furniture, And I go in there, and I sit down, and all I could think about through the entire... They were asking me these questions, like, why did you break into the building? And why was that guy wearing the disguise? And what were you doing on the top floor since the person was... The TA was on the first floor? And I started to crack. I started sweating, beads of sweat. And you know how I get. All of a sudden, I'm going to give out all the information, and then everybody else is not going to mention the Snickers bar. And it was... It's true. University of Michigan calls it the Big House because it is the largest stadium in the world, I believe. You guys can fact check that. To make a long story short, I did not crack. I did not tell them about the Snickers bar. I said nothing. To this day, I have never said anything about the Snickers bar. None of us have until this moment. Hopefully, we're not going to get arrested. And on that day, I learned absolutely nothing. No good came of that. I did not learn any ethics. I just was able to stay in for the rest of the year because I didn't mention the Snickers bar. And you know what? In retrospect, they probably been like, would you just stop talking about the Snickers bar? We don't care. Maybe that's the lesson. Don't sweat the little stuff. And Snickers bars are really concentrated good food. Really good food. All right. Thanks, everybody, for being here. I've run out of time. There's more to come. I did a little bit of... I butchered a song for you guys at the end of this to do a little busking. Yeah, don't sweat the details. Don't sweat the little stuff. Everything's small stuff. Stop sweating so much, Marshall. All right. So in a total reckless abandon, I did a little busking in my backyard again this morning, and I'm going to play that. I'm going to play you guys on out with a little Blackbird by the Beatles. Blackbird singing in the dead of night. Take these broken wings and learn to fly. All your life you were only waiting for this moment to arise. Blackbird singing in the dead of night. Take these sunken eyes and learn to see. All your life you were only waiting for this moment to be free. Blackbird fly, blackbird fly into the light of the dark black night. Blackbird singing in the dead of night. Take these broken wings and learn to fly. All your life you were only waiting for this moment to arise. Blackbird singing in the dead of night. Take these sunken eyes and learn to see. All your life you were only waiting for this moment to be free. Black